Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. It's nice to see everybody here online, wherever you're coming from. Welcome to the first Friday of the month, first Friday of December, which is our Youth Shabbat. We're going to begin our service in just a moment. As we gather together, our USY chapter is making its way in. We're going to begin our service. If you have your Sidurim, we're going to be on page 10. And if you're a USYer sitting in the congregation, you do have your Sidurim. So we're going to begin on page 10 with Yedid Nefesh. Yedid Nefesh Av Harachaman Meshoch Avdach El Retzonach Yarutz Avdach Kemo Ayal Yishtachaveh El Mul Hadarach Yerav Lo Yedidutach Minofei Tzuf Vechol Ta'am Hadur Na'eziv Ha'olam Nafshi Cholat Avatach Ana El Narefa Nala Beharat Lo Noam Zivach Az titchazek v'titrape v'hayta halach shivchat olam v'tik yehemuna rachamecha v'chusana al benahuvach Ki ze kamo nichsafti liro petiferet uzach ana eli machmad libi v'chushana ve'al titalam
Higalena ufros chaviv alai et sukat shelomach ta'ir eretz mikbodach nagila v'nismecha bach Maher ahuv kiva moed vechoneni ki me'olam Yana nai 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 yana nai 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 yana nai 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 yana nai 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 yana nai 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 yana nai 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 yana nai 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 yana nai 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 yana nai 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 yana nai 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 yana nai 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 yana nai 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 yana nai 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 yana nai 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 yana nai 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 nai. Sorry for being late. Please turn to page 11 for Lechuneranina. Lechuneranina, 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 Ladonai. Lechuneranina, 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 Ladonai. Naria, Naria, Letzor Yishenu, Nekad Mafana Betoda. Naria, Naria, Letzor Yishenu, Bizmi wrote Naria lo. Lechuneranina, 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 Ladonai. Lechuneranina, 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 Ladonai. Please turn to page 12. We begin at the bottom. Arba'im shana hakut bedor va'omar ham to'e levavhem ve'em lo yadu derachai asher nishbati v'api im yavon el menuchati. Please turn to page 13 for Shiru Ladonai. Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Shemo, Basru Miyom Le'yom Yeshuato, Safru Bagoyim Kevodo, Bechol Ha'amim Niflotav, Ki Gadol Adonai, Umeula meod norahu al kol Elohim ay ki kol Elohei ha'amim elilim v'Adonai shamayim asa hod v'hadar lefanav oz betiferet b'mikdasho havu l'Adonai mishpachot amim havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz havu l'Adonai kevod shemo se'u mincha Uvou lechatzrotav ay ishtachavu l'Adonai behadrak kodesh kilu mipanav kol haaretz imru bagoyim Adonai malach avtikon tevel baltimot yadinamim b'meisharim yismechu hashamayim v'tagel haaretz yiram hayam umelo yalo sadai v'chol asher bo ay az yeranenu kol atzeyar lifnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz yishpot tevel betzedek ve'amim be'emunato yanai Please turn to page 15 for Adonai Malach. Adonai Malach Tagel Haaretz Yismechu Hayim Rabim. Continue silently. Page 16 at the bottom. Or Zarua la tzadik u'yishrei lev simcha simchu tzadikim baronai v'hodu lezecher kodsho. I would now like to invite Kayla Jacobs up for an English reading on page 17.
To take the first step to sing a new song is to close one's eyes and dive into unknown waters, for a moment knowing nothing, risking all. But then to discover the waters are friendly, the ground is firm, and the song rises again. Out of my mouth come the words lifting the wind, and I hear for the first the song that has been in my heart, silent, unknown, and longing of our hearts.
Please turn to page 20 for Romemu at the arrow. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. I now invite you to turn to page 21 for Mizmor LeDavid. Please rise. Mizmor LeDavid. Havu Adonai b'nei Elim, Havu Adonai kavod va'os, Havu Adonai kevod shemo, Ishtachavu Adonai behadrat kodesh, Kol Adonai al hamayim el hakavod hirim, Adonai al mayim rabim. Kol Adonai ba'koach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, Vaishaver Adonai et azrei halvanon, Vayarkidem kemo egel levanon, Vesiryon kemo ben remim, Kol Adonai chotzev lavotesh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yachol elayalot, Vayechesof ye'arot, Uvehechalo kulo, Omer kavod, kulo omer kavod. Adonai lamabu yashav, vayeshev Adonai melech leolam, Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Yain and nine, yain nine, yain and nine, yain nine. You may be seated. I now invite Ava up to lead us in Lechado D on page 23.
Lecha dodi likra kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likra kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmiyanu el hamichad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shemu letiferet u'ti la 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 lecha dodi likra kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likra kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor ha'beracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshvati la 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 lecha dodi likra kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likra kala, penei Shabbat nekabela la 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 lecha dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, me'afar. I'm so sorry. Hitoreri, kiva oreku uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayik nikla, lecha dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lo tevoshi velo tikami, mati shochachi umatami, bach yachesu aneni ami, ven nitecha ir al tila. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Yamin usmo tifrot zivi et Adonai, tariti al yad ish, ben farsi ven ismecha ven agila. Lecha dodi, please rise. Likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Boi veshalom, ateret balak, gam besimcha, uvetzoala toch emune, am segula, boi chala, lecha dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Yana nai 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 nai, yana nai nai nai, yana nai 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 nai, yana nai nai nai, yana nai 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 nai, yana nai nai nai, yana nai nai nai. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela.
You may be seated.
Please turn to page 27 as Ava leads us in Mizmor Shir Le'yom HaShabbat.
Mizmor Shir Le'yom HaShabbat, Tov le'odot l'Adonai, ulezamer le'shimcha elyon, ulezamer le'shimcha elyon. Lehagid baboker chastecha, ve'emanatcha ba'leilot, alei asur ve'alei navel, alei higayon bechinor. Mizmor Shir Le'yom HaShabbat, Tov le'odot l'Adonai, ulezamer le'shimcha elyon, ulezamer le'shimcha elyon. Sadik katamar yifrach, sadik katamar yifrach, sadik katamar yifrach, sadik katamar yifrach. Ke'eres balvanon iske, ke'eres balvanon iske, ke'eres balvanon iske. Again, ke'eres balvanon iske, ke'eres balvanon iske, ke'eres balvanon iske. Sadik katamar yifrach, sadik katamar yifrach, sadik katamar yifrach, sadik katamar yifrach. Ke'eres balvanon iske, ke'eres balvanon iske, ke'eres balvanon iske. Ke'eres balvanon iske, ke'eres balvanon iske, ke'eres balvanon iske.
Thank you, Ava. I'll finish us out with Sadi Katamar. Od Yanuvun Beseva Deshenim Berananim Iyu Lehagid Ki Yashar Adonai Tsuri Tsuri Velo Avatabo.
We turn to page 30 for the Mourner's Kaddish, the Kaddish Yatom. All those who are in mourning or commemorating a yahrzeit, I invite you to rise and join in with me on page 30 for Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich machutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach le'olam ulmei olmaya yisbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. I'm going to call up Raquel now for our drash, our Dvar Torah. Right there, that's good. And you can take your mask off, by the way.
Hi, I'm Raquel Sokol, and today I'm going to be reading your Devar. I'm on the CBI USY board, and unlike many of my peers, Hanukkah has never been my favorite holiday. There's a few reasons for this. I've never really liked how Hanukkah is pitted against Christmas, and I've never been that interested in Adam Sandler's Hanukkah song, unlike everybody else. Though I've always enjoyed the food part of Hanukkah, as, of course, who doesn't love Hanukkah food? Many before me and many after me will draw comparisons to this week's Parshat Miketz, and Hanukkah, though today I'm going to focus on the food aspect of Parshat Miketz. Just to remind you, Parshat Miketz is a story of when Joseph was freed from his imprisonment, and he predicted and had his dream about famine, where 7 unhealthy cows would eat 7 healthy cows, predicting 7 long years of famine. His brothers in the end met with him, and that's kind of the story of Parshat Miketz. Now, Parshat Miketz is also about food, because of course a famine is about the lack of food. Now, it's also traditional to read Parshat Miketz always on Hanukkah, and it's also traditional to have a festive meal for Hanukkah, possibly due to the fact that Joseph in Parshat Miketz has a feast of sorts with his brothers, and possibly due to the Jews' love of food. The idea behind special food being served on Hanukkah isn't a unique idea, with many Jewish holidays having foods that we associate with them. With Passover, it's matzah. With Purim, it's hamantashen. And while I don't really like matzah, I do love hamantashen, so I felt like I had to mention them. It's often said that you must have oily or fried foods for Hanukkah to commemorate the miracle of 1 night of oil lasting 8 nights instead. Though, the thing is, the foods that we associate with Hanukkah aren't actually old foods. The Hanukkah foods are actually mostly created in the past 200 years alone, with sufganiyot and latkes both being created, specifically potato latkes, being created in the past 200 years-ish. Latkes, as we know them, were only created in about the mid-18th century, when potatoes were widely spread in Eastern Europe, where many Ashkenazi Jews come from. Now, because potatoes hadn't been introduced until the mid-19th century, latkes had been, prior to that, only made with cheese, mostly goat cheese. So latkes, as you think of them, like the fried hash brown like things, haven't existed they've only existed for about 250 years, with sufganiyot having an even more recent development. Sufganiyot, at least the jelly-filled fried kind, only came into being when the Jewish labor organization in Israel, Histadrut, in 1920 decided they wanted to combine the North African tradition of fried dough for Hanukkah and the Polish Jewish tradition of jelly donuts to combine into a fried jelly donut thing that we now know as sufganiyot. So sufganiyot have only existed for 101 years, and I'd like to wish sufganiyot a happy 101st birthday. Another favorite Hanukkah food of mine is gelt. Now, in order to understand gelt, you must understand that gelt is not an ancient tradition, as many Hanukkah things aren't. Now, gelt means money in Yiddish, and while there are many translations for money from Yiddish, gelt is only one of them. And gelt, or the tradition of giving money to children on Hanukkah, has only been around since the 19th century yet again. Now, gelt, as chocolate form, have only existed because American candy companies decided we need to exploit Jewish holidays. We must exploit them like we exploit Christmas. We're going to make chocolate Maccabees. And they didn't really take off, but gelt did. So as we know it, gelt now exists because American candy companies decided we need to exploit Hanukkah. Now, other Hanukkah candies have been produced, as I mentioned, with Hanukkah Maccabees, the chocolate version, having been produced and not really being produced anymore. But as we know it, I'm glad that we have gelt, despite its waxy flavor. The rich history of Jewish food and holidays is immense, and I'd love to talk about it. Please talk to me about it. But food often brings us together, like we can see in Parshat Miketz. When we have a lack of food, we come together, like Joseph came together with his brothers after being apart from them for so long. Jews around the world celebrate with food, no matter the fact that we eat different foods or pray different ways. We're still celebrating the same holidays, and we still always connect over food. Hag Sameach, Happy Hanukkah, and Shabbat Shalom.
Hello. We continue our service with the Baruch Hu, the formal call to prayer. Raquel, you're coming back up, aren't you? On page 39A, please rise.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
You may be seated. We're on the bottom of page 39A.
Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uben laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hamari v'aravim.
Amen. We turn to page 40 for Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha avta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu V'shochmeinu u'v'kumenu Nasiach b'chukecha ונשמע בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגע ביומם בלילה. יבטך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. Now invite Kayla up to lead us in the Shema via Hafta on page 41.
Shema Yisrael Adonai
Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha uveleftecha v'derech uv'shofbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam leot aliyatecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uv'tachtam hamezuzot beitecha uv'isharecha. Please continue silently. Adonai Elohechem Emet. I now invite Ava up to lead us in Michamocha on page
44.
On page 44. I'm so sorry. 1 second. Before we do that, there's a box at the top.
Yeah.
Page 44 at the arrow. Umalchuto beratzon kiblu aleihem Moshe v'nei Yisrael lechanu shira besimcha rabba ve'amru kulam.
Micha mocha bayelim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osei felech, Nora tehilot osei felech. Micha mocha bayelim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osei felech, Nora tehilot osei felech. Malchut charau banecha bokeam lifnei Moshe Zeilianu v'amru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed v'ne'emar kifad Adonai et Yaakov u'galo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael.
Please turn to page 45 at the top as Ava leads us in Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim. At page 45 at the arrow. Ushmor tzeitenu uvoenu lechaim u'leshalom yata b'yad olam ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha baruch atah Adonai hafaresh sukat shalom aleinu ve'kol mo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Please turn to page 46 as Aaron leads us in Vishamru. Please rise.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat
Shabbos lasot
et ha-Shabbat
ledorotam berit olam. V'shamru
v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat
Shabbos lasot
et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam.
Niyuvei b'nei Yisrael oti
le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat
Shabbos lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai
את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. שבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. שבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Thank you, Aaron. I now invite Raquel to lead us in the Chatzi Kaddish on page 46.
Okay. Yikadam, Vivkada, Shemei Rabba.
Amen.
V'ama divra kute, v'amlik malchute, v'chaye kod yom echad, v'chaye v'chol Beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, u'bizman kariv, v'meru, amen. Yesh merabba mevorach, le'olam lo me'omaya, yibarach, yibarach, v'yishtabach, v'yipar, v'yitramah, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitala, shemei dekudasha brichu, le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nehemata, Tamira miyama, v'yimeru, amen.
Please turn.
No, go ahead.
Please turn to page 47 for the silent Amidah, and stop when you reach page 52.
If you're still saying the Amidah, please continue to do so. We continue on page 53 at the top of the page with Vayachulu. As we rise, we stay standing, we sing Vayachulu.
Vayachulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzevam vayachal Elohim bayom hashvi melato asher asa vayishbot bayom hashvi mikol melato asher asa vayevarech Elohim et yom hashvi vayekadesh oto ki bo Shabbat mikol melato Asher bara Elohim lasot Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibur v'Hanora, El Elyon Konei Shamayim v'Aretz, Magen Avo Bidvaro, Mechaye Metim B'Mamarom, Ha'el HaKadosh She'en Kamohu, Hameniach Le'amo, B'Yom Shabbat Kodsho, Kivam Rata Le'aniach Lahem, Kivam Rata Le'aniach Lahem, Lefanav Navo B'Ira Ufachad, V'Nodeh Lishmo B'Chol Yom Tamid, Me'ein HaBrachot. El Ahodaot Adon HaShalom Mekadesh HaShabbat Muvarech Shevi Umeniach Bikdusha Le'amek Dushnei Oneg Zecher Lemase Bereshit. Please turn to page 54. Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu Retzei b'mnuchatenu Kaddishenu b'mitzvotecha v'tein chelkenu b'toratecha Sabenu mituvecha v'samchenu b'shuatecha v'taher libenu li'ovdecha be'emet v'hanchilenu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ava uvratzon Shabbat kodshecha ve'anuchu va'Yisrael mekadeshei shemecha Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah ve'alma divra kirtei ve'amlik malchutei b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael b'galav v'zman kariv ve'imeru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam lo me'omaya yitbarach Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitraman v'yinaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha v'richu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'miram b'yama v'yimeru amen. Titkabal tzolot hon uvatahon dechol Yisrael kodam uvahon devishmaya v'yimeru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'echol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom b'romav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'echol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. I now invite Ari up to lead us in Aleinu on page 56.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol l'ateit gedolah liotzer breshit shelo samu chelkei haratzon velo samanu k'mishpachot adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu notei shamayim ve'yotzei va'aretz u'mevoshev yikaron b'shamayim ima'av u'shchinatu zo ve'gavrei meromi hu Eloheinu einod emin malkeinu efes ilato Kakatu v'torato V'yadata yom behashevota elevavecha Ki Adonai hu Elohim ba shamayim ima
ve'aretz ve'aretz mitachad einod einod.
Please continue silently. Okay. Page 57 at the arrow.
Kakatu v'toratecha Adonai yimlach le'olam va'ed v'nemar b'chaya Adonai le'melech ha'kol haaretz v'yom ha'hu v'yom ha'yu hiya Adonai echad u'shemo 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 echad.
In our community this week, we commemorate the yahrzeits of Joseph Baim and Herman Dim, Marion Safir and Albert Joseph Albagli, Dorothy Myers and Stephen K. Lieberman, Rose Goodman and Malka Hassin, Frank Reinhard and Marvin Bernstein, Linda Sokoloff, Liba Zeigelbaum Kowalski, Chaim Ofri, Dorothy Westerman, Ray Morrison, and Maury Sloan, Samuel Shemansky, and Frida Schneider-Stiss, Michael Weiner and Rose Wolf, Oscar Goldberg and Rehian Javasarian, Jerry Lauer and Israel Wilner, Paul Kahn and Sarah Teplizky, Bernie Wagowski and Paul Kahn, George Miller and Bella Miller. May all of their memories be a blessing. All those who are in mourning or commemorating a yahrzeit, please rise for the Mourner's Kaddish on page 58. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchusei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach le'olam ulmei olmaya. Before we continue, I'm actually going to ask you all to rise. And we'll do this, the rest of this Mourner's Kaddish, in memory of the lives that were lost in Michigan this week. I look out and I see our children, and I think of those who have lost family members this week. As we conclude the Mourner's Kaddish, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha brichu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yeshvei tevel v'imru amen. We may be seated. Tomorrow morning services are at 9:30. So I'm sure I'll see you all there. Hopefully I'll see you all there. Sunday is the Hanukkah Concert. And a week from Sunday, the 12th, we are honoring, what's his name? Somebody. He worked here for a couple of years, I think. Oh, right, Rabbi Eli Spitz. We are honoring him on December 12th with an evening program. Do you guys have any USY announcements? Anyone? Bueller? No? Okay. Well, then come on up, all of USY. Show everybody your lovely faces as we conclude our services with the entire chapter on page. What page are we on? What page are we on? Adon Olam. Let's go.
We're on page Adon Olam. What you're wearing.
Thank you.
Page 211.
Page 211. What tune do you guys want to do? What tune? Okay. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol Doo-doo-doo-doo, Yetzir Nivra Ding Dog, V'yet Natzah, B'Epsakol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, V'yacharei Kitlo Tarkol, Levado Yimloch Nora Adon Olam, Vehu Haya, Vehu Hoveh, Vehu Yebeti Bara Adon Olam.
olam, adon olam, asher malach, b'terem kol do-do-do-do, Yetzir nivra, ding-dong, li'et natzah, v'hefsakol, shazai melech shemo nikra adon olam, behu yayav sheni, lecham shilo leach v'ira adon olam, vehi reshit, beli tachlit, velo ha'oz ve'am yisra adon olam, v'asher malach, b'terem kol do-do-do-do, Yetzir nira, ding-dong, li'et natzah, v'chefsachol, azai melech shemo nikra adon olam, ve'u eli, v'chai golali, ve'torchav li b'yetzara adon olam, ve'u nisi umanosli, menakosi b'yom ekra adon olam, asher malach, v'terem kol do-do-do-do, Yetzir nivra, ding-dong, li'et natzah, b'chefsakol, azai melech shemo nikra adon olam, v'yado akid ruchi, beiti sham be'ya'ira adon olam, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li v'lo ira adon olam, asher malach, b'terem kol do-do-do-do, Yetzir nivra, ding-dong, li'et natzah, v'hefsakol, Shazai melech shemo nikra adon olam. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you for bringing that. Appreciate it.